Genetic factors of aggression. Let's start off with twin studies and adoption studies. We've learned part of this in the biological approach, but now we're going to link it to aggression. So monozygotic twins are those who share 100% of the same genes, while dizygotic twins share 50% of the same genes. So basically, if monozygotic twins are very likely to have traits such as aggression, then this would come down to genes rather than the environment. Also, adoption studies help us understand the interaction between genes and the environment. So if there's a positive correlation found between the adoptee and the adopted parents, then this would be due to the environment, as the adoptee and the adopted parents are not biologically related. Whereas if there's a positive correlation found between the adoptee and their biological parent, then there would be a genetic effect implied, as the adoptee and the biological parent have the same genetic makeup. As for research support, for twin studies, Quickology et al. 1997 studied adult monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins, and he found that for physical assault, the concordance rate, which is the rate at which each twin has similar characteristics, were 50% for monozygotic twins, while 19% for dizygotic twins. And also for verbal aggression, the concordance rates were 28% for monozygotic twins and 19% for dizygotic twins. This basically means that the genetic factors contribute to aggression. Also, for adoption studies, Ree and Waldman 2002 carried out a meta-analysis and found that genetic influences accounted for 41% variance of aggression. This suggests that genetic factors contribute to aggression. A meta-analysis, by the way, is a collection of studies which the researchers use to find a correlation. Okay, so now let's talk about the role of MAOA, which stands for monoamine oxidase A. So the MAOA gene, which is responsible for creating the protein MAOA, has been associated with aggressive behavior. So MAOA is actually an enzyme which mops up neurotransmitters left over after the nerve impulse has been transmitted from one neuron to another. So essentially what this means is that the neurotransmitters that weren't able to cross the synapse, they essentially get recycled by the MAOA. They do this by breaking down the neurotransmitter into chemicals, and also the MAOA gene determines the production of the MAOA enzyme. So they have the same name, so don't get the gene and the enzyme confused. Also, if there's a dysfunction in the gene, there's something called the warrior gene, which is a variant of the MAOA that leads to low MAOA activity, which has been associated with various forms of aggressive behavior. And so we can see that if there's low MAOA, it can't break down neurotransmitters to be recycled, so there's high levels of serotonin, and so your brain becomes desensitized to it. So what this means is that the brain becomes used to the high levels of serotonin, and so eventually the brain will be unsatisfied with this because they will think that this high level of serotonin is the new normal. And so essentially the brain treats it like it's low levels of serotonin. And so now the brain considers originally the high levels of serotonin low. And so you're going to be more aggressive because, low serotonin means that you're not as happy as often. Okay, so now let's talk about the Brunner syndrome, which is a study conducted by Brunner et al. 1933. He studied 28 males in a Dutch family involved in crimes of violence such as rape and murder, and he found out that these men had low levels of MAOA, the enzyme, and low activity version of the MAOA gene, which means that there's a defect in the gene, because normally it shouldn't be low. And so basically this suggests that the MAOA gene can lead to aggression if there's a defect. So low MAOA can lead to low serotonin, which leads to high aggression. The final thing you need to know is the interaction between the genes and the environment in terms of aggression. So Caspi et al. 2002, he conducted a study of 500 boys and found out that those with low MAOA were likely to display antisocial behavior only if they were maltreated as children. So this essentially means that if you have high MAOA and you have like a traumatic past, there will be no aggression, and if you have low MAOA and you don't have a traumatic past, then you don't have aggression. So essentially you need a bit of both environment and genetic factors in order to be aggressive. So it shows the interaction between genes and the environment. And that's about it for this subtopic.